For a while, the Force in Star Wars has felt lost. But then Andor gave us this.
That feeling. It's been a very long time.
No lightsabers, no floating rocks, no Jedi. Yet somehow this mysterious energy has rarely been more alive.
Surely you must feel it.
So today I want to break down why, with 3 key arguments showing how this scene doesn't just elevate Cassian's story, Andor or Rogue One, but reconnects the Force to an entire saga. And at the end I'll share a unique take on this beautiful moment, and I'm genuinely curious if you will agree with me or not.
Its energy surrounds us and binds us.
This saying from Yoda in The Empire Strikes Back is one of the most famous depictions of the Force ever. Yet, despite its legendary nature, over time it feels like its meaning has been forgotten. These days, the Force is often played for laughs.
That's not how the Force works.
Or showcased as some flashy superpower like this or this. What once was an unknown spirit has become more of a storytelling trick for a chosen few characters, labeled with the word Jedi.
Are you a Jedi?
Yeah, because he's a Jedi.
There's so few Jedi left.
I want to be a Jedi.
Thought it was a bunch of mumbo jumbo. A magical power holding together good and evil, the dark side and the light.
This endless approach to explaining it, having it front and center in every story, has made this incredible thing lose its most valuable trait. And could you guess what it is? The mystery, and in turn how that actually affects people in the Star Wars world.
I don't believe it. That is why you fail.
Which brings us here, to Andor, this scene and a show that almost never mentions the Force at all. Its characters have barely even heard of it, and some act like it doesn't exist in the first place.
I wouldn't be faking something if it never worked.
Why not? What does that even mean?
Andor treats this so-called space magic as pure magic, or in other words, something unbelievable. This in turn makes the reaction to the Force raised to levels like Luke in Empire Strikes Back, because when it actually works, the characters don't just get confused and surprised, they change, they become a part of it. And that's so much more satisfying than watching someone lift a few rocks or shooting lightning.
How many of these beings in the 5 years that I get, how many of them have ever heard of the Force? Well, like nobody. How many have ever seen a lightsaber? Nobody. How many have heard of these 4 people you keep making the movies about? Nobody. So that's the Star Wars reality.
Like I said, and what Tony Gilroy hints towards in this interview, is the fact that the grounded take Andor has to the Star Wars universe is actually what pushes this scene to greatness, and there are mainly 2 reasons for that. Firstly, it's the way the show frames the Force through the lens of its time period. Like the Andor showrunner explained, most people in this era have never actually witnessed something like it in action. To them, it's not mystical or powerful, it's merely pointless. That's why Cassian ignores it so completely. The Jedi are gone, the Force is gone. And it's that absence, that skepticism, that makes the reaction from the healer land with so much impact.
If you watch that scene, what lets me in? What lets me in is when she says thank you to him.
Thank you.
And here's this guy across the thing who doesn't want to even talk to her, and she can feel something across the thing, and she doesn't even know what it is, and then she does this thing, and she's like, thank you, you like restored this feeling in me.
Sometimes it even works, but this... You.
The second reason has to do with the psychological influence of it, and the things you can't really see. If I asked you to explain exactly why this scene works, many of you would probably struggle to put it into words. That's because what makes it great isn't obvious or logical, it's something you feel.
You scared him.
I'm sorry.
It's not easy to do.
In the middle of a dark, hopeless moment in the galaxy, for a brief second you can almost touch this powerful contact with the cosmic force, and how this experience becomes both inspiring and terrifying to a regular person like Cassian, Bix, and even the healer.
She felt it from across the yard. She wasn't making that up. That wasn't a scam.
What was it then?
I don't know. I don't even think she knows.
Right here, the Force isn't revealed as a prophecy or a vision, but as a presence, almost like its own character stepping into the story. Think about it. The galaxy is at its darkest point. The Empire has crushed hope everywhere, and then suddenly in this tiny moment the unimaginable feels real by making this energy shift from myth into something alive.
I sense the weight of things. Things I can't see. Pain, fear, need.
That's why the message works, because if the Force can reach someone like Cassian, someone broken, skeptical and almost ready to leave the rebellion behind, then maybe it can reach anyone. That's the entire idea of the rebellion. Ordinary people with no chosen destiny, daring to believe that the impossible is still possible. Which in turn is what makes the phrase "May the Force be with you" so powerful. It's not just a tradition or some leftover saying from the Jedi. In this era, it's dangerous. It's defiance. To saying it out loud under the Empire is basically saying, I still believe. I still resist.
May the Force be with you, Captain.
Hey, Luke. May the Force be with you.
The Force basically came from, distilling all of the religious beliefs, spiritual beliefs, and then creating an easy to deal with metaphor for what religion is.
He's a messenger. There's some place he needs to be.
When you zoom out a bit and start to look at the bigger picture, you can find something really interesting, connecting all the way from the early stages of Andor to, I would say, the end of the original trilogy. Most of us describe this show as a great story bridge into Rogue One, and then how Rogue One flows right into Episode 4 and the rest of the OG movies. And that's true, but what I almost never hear people talk about is how this one scene manages to do the exact same thing, only now with the Force. In Rogue One, we get introduced to Chirrut Imwe, this mysterious blind monk that has dedicated his life to this religion.
The Force is with me, and I am with the Force.
From the beginning, there was something odd about him, a noticeable disparity to the usual Force wielders in this world. Much like how Yoda describes the Force in Empire, Chirrut was connected to it and its presence in a stronger sense than a normal being, yet weaker than the likes of a Jedi and a Sith. He wasn't a superhero, rather relatable like the healer.
And the Force is with me. I'm one with the Force. The Force is with me.
In this movie, you can view him as the vessel of the Force, how through him this energy escalates within the story. From whispers and faith in the beginning, to his grand moment, to the terrifying presence of Vader, and eventually to Kenobi and Luke in Episode 4.
Surrounds us, penetrates us, it binds the galaxy together.
And going back to Andor, I think the lack of the Force would have felt weird in the context of Rogue One. That's why this scene is so important and very well done, because it manages to fit into the world Tony Gilroy has created, while also teasing it enough so that Chirrut Imwe's introduction feels natural and even elevated.
See a Jedi?
There are no Jedi here anymore. Only dreamers like this fool.
This in turn makes the Force grow with the story of the entire saga, from nowhere to be found, to mysterious and quote-unquote lucky, to powerful and overwhelming, to a deeper understanding and a key part of the narrative.
I felt his presence. He's come for me. He can feel when I'm near. That's why I have to go.
All of these small but meaningful details are what makes Andor feel so refreshing. The prequels gave us midichlorians and a biological explanation. The sequels leaned into a superhero-style spectacle, and other projects have explored spirituality, the world between worlds, and even time travel. And I'm not saying that these different perspectives aren't welcome, rather that Andor strips it back to the core idea of what the Force was meant to be in the first place. Which brings us into my unique take on this scene. The more I've analyzed this moment, the more a strange familiarity started to sink in, and eventually it hit me. I am Cassian. I know it might sound confusing, but let me explain. Over the years, my connection to Star Wars has faded. Maybe I just grown apart from it, maybe the stories haven't been as strong. Either way, I've become more and more pessimistic about its future, whether I wanted to or not. And in that way, I'm like Cassian. He has grown into a soulless universe, designed to be ruled by one evil empire. Having to fight against injustice all his life, he doesn't believe in a higher power, and therefore doesn't believe in the Force. And somewhere along the line between all the new shows and movies, I stopped believing in Star Wars. But then came Andor and this scene.
Maybe you're the place he needs to be.
Bix almost feels like the part of me that still believes, the voice that refuses to give in. She, alongside the healer, makes the Force get through to Cassian, and it reminded me that there is still a path forward. So if you remember one thing from this video, let it be this. The Force itself can't be pinned down. It's faith, it's mystery, it's power or guidance. And Star Wars works the same way. It's whatever the characters and we as the audience choose to believe in. Andor made me believe in Star Wars again. And just like the Force was suppressed, doubted, pushed down by the Empire, it rose to the top again. And hopefully that's exactly what this franchise will do, because Andor proved that it's still possible. Here you can watch another video about Star Wars Andor. Thank you for supporting me, and bye bye.